Hi and welcome back to My Mature Student Life. Today we're going to be talking about presentations, and I said we were going to do that yesterday, didn't I, on Instagram. Really looking forward to this one because presentations is something that I absolutely love. I have been doing it for such a long time. I started doing presentations at the age of 17. I was trained in it and I've done it in pretty much every job that I've ever done, including speaking to children, young people, festivals, training people, training senior leadership teams, speaking in front of hundreds of people, and speaking in front of small groups as well. And I'm also an academic, so I have to deliver presentations as part of my degree, and I am very much on track for a strong first, and presentations I consistently get a strong first in that. So no worries there really in terms of who I am and whether it's right for me to speak about this. You don't have to listen. Of course you don't. But you're here, so I just wanted to say I feel pretty confident speaking to you about it, and I think I'm all right at it. But you'll probably tell me otherwise. I don't know. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about do's and don'ts today, and my 3 golden rules. So my 3 golden rules are: know your material inside out, plan your material meticulously, within that making it fun, making it engaging, and the third one is to practice, practice, practice. So over the next couple of minutes we're going to be talking about them. I'm going to break them down a little bit, give you some little hints and hacks on how to do that. The purpose of this presentation today, though, to you is for people who are academic. You might be in your career, you might be going for a job interview, but it's really for people who hate presentations. I don't understand why you would hate presentations because I love them, but just to give you some real guidance on how do you overcome that? How do you get to the point where you actually really enjoy them, because they are really good, and as an academic it's a really good way of getting easy marks as well. And it's part of the world now. You have to present, the higher up you go in terms of your career, it's always going to include a presentation. As soon as you get up to X amount of money, it's gonna be there. You can't get away from it. So hopefully when you listen to this, you'll go, oh, do you know what? I follow that, and that'll be fine. I can do that. So I hope that's how you feel at the end of it anyway. So switch forward if you want. So the video is going to be broken up into 3 parts. So that's the end of part 1. That's the end of the introduction. By the way, I'm keeping this video really, really raw because I want you to see some of the processes that I go through as well when I'm speaking out a presentation. Okay, see you shortly. Hi guys, welcome to the next section. So this section is all about preparing and really, really knowing your material. That is the first key in delivering an excellent presentation. So before, I've talked about this before, I know I have, with My Mature Student Life. So when you get your subject matter, so it might be a pitch, it might be your brief from your tutor, or whatever it is, your interview brief, you get that and you absorb it, you understand what it is you're required, and then you start doing your research. So you don't start thinking about what you're going to do, you just do the research, and you get yourself to a point where you become an absolute expert in that. You might not be an expert in it, but you can do little things that will make the audience believe that you're an expert in something. And part of the battle in presenting is you believing you're an expert, but making others believe you're an expert as well. Because if you can win your audience over, then you've done your job. And if you can do that within the first 30 seconds to a minute, you're on to a winner. So there are little things that you can do. So like I said, you need to know your subject, absolutely, because guarantee there'll be somebody in the audience who's going to ask you questions about something you don't know. And if you don't know, you don't know, but you try and know it. And the way to make your audience believe that you know much more than you do is putting little anecdotes in there as well. So I'll give you a really good example. I delivered a presentation a couple of days ago on project management. I'm not a project manager, I'm studying business. I delivered it on Prince2 and Agile, 2 methodologies that are quite complex. They're massive. Project management is a huge, huge subject. But I threw little anecdotes in there that I think made the tutors believe that I knew all about this subject. So one example was that I knew about Agile, that it was developed in a ski lodge by a group of guys that were just on holiday basically, and they had an IT problem that they needed to overcome. And it's little things like that that'll make them think, blimey, if she knows that, then she'll know everything else about that subject. And it's stories as well, throw in stories, because stories will help you engage with the audience, because audiences engage with stories. We love stories, and it'll help you remember as well. So I can learn facts and figures, but it's boring. So I will tend to use lots of stories and lots of anecdotes like that to help me illustrate facts and figures, because it's much more engaging, it's much more interesting, and it helps me remember as well, which is the most important thing. It's you that's got to remember this stuff, and you're not going to remember a list, but you'll remember interesting things about your subject. So yeah, so do your research, know it inside out, become that expert, learn your little anecdotes that are going to make things interesting for you. You need to, when you're doing your research, there'll be little bits of your research that you think, I don't really know what that means. Know it, because like I said, you guarantee that one word in that presentation is the one thing your tutor or your interviewer is going to ask you about. So never put anything in your presentation that you're not absolutely 100% with. Don't try and blag it. You need to know that subject. If you know your subject, you will enjoy your presentation. You will, because you'll be speaking about something that you have enjoyed researching and that you can speak on confidently. And that's the battle as well. The confidence will come from knowledge and from authority that you've been given by all the authors that you've read about, that you've got your information from. It's not your opinion. So-and-so says, da 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 da. Therefore, you've got authority to say that because somebody said it before. So know your stuff. There's something else I wanted to say on this. And I think that's it. I'll come back to it if there is. So that's the end of this section. The next section, like I said, is going to be on planning. So enjoy. Hi guys. So this section is all about planning. So the previous bit we talked about knowing your subject inside out. And what I wanted to say at the end of that, and I'm saying now, is before you can move on to planning, you need to get to the point where you are confident enough to speak about your subject for about 5 or 10 minutes without any books, references, texts, anything, nothing in front of you, that it just kind of pours out of you. A presentation is a pouring out of everything that's inside of you. And I love that analogy, because if you think about drink pouring, if there's nothing in the drink, if there's nothing in the glass or the bottle, and you pour it, nothing comes out. If there's no knowledge inside of your head, then nothing's going to come out. You can stand in front of an audience all you want, but if you're trying to blag it, you're going to fail, because there's no depth of knowledge inside you that's going to win the audience over. So when you get to that point, it's at that point that you can start planning. So planning to deliver. So this is where people get nervous, really, really nervous. So the first thing to say is there's a really cool hack that you can use. The first 30 seconds of your presentation is your make or break. And that's the point that people are frightened of. They're not frightened of the rest. Because I guarantee if you get past the first 30 seconds, you're sorted. No matter how long your presentation is, it can be for an hour. I've spoken in front of people for a day, and it's always just that first 30 seconds that'll kill it. And it'll kill it for the rest of the day or the rest of the presentation. So how do you get over that first 30 seconds? So you need to choose something, and it's hard to give you some kind of a pin here, because everything is subjective. So you need to choose something that you can speak about confidently for 30 seconds or 2 minutes. So some kind of hook, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples as well. So I did a financial comparison presentation looking at financial investments, which sounds really dry and really boring, and it could have been, but I tried to make it quite interesting. So the first 30 seconds, what I did, because it was quite a techie and heavy presentation, I wanted to break that up a little bit. So I brought in pretty much my library on self-help and financial investments. It was on buy-to-lets and all that kind of stuff. And there's some really inspiring texts out there. So I brought that in, and that was my introduction into my assignment and my presentation. And I also brought in a board game called The Game of Life, which you might have come across, you might not, don't matter. And we talked about that and why I wanted to use that and why I felt that illustrated where I was going. It was something that wasn't massively techy, it was interesting, it was engaging, and it was something that I didn't need to think about. And what that does when you use a little 30-second hack is it takes your presentation from, oh my goodness, I've got to stand in front of people, I'm giving a presentation, I've got to be very formal, to, oh yeah, this is my favourite book and I absolutely love this. And it becomes more a conversation, which a presentation should be. All you're doing is talking to your audience, and it becomes that more than that nerve-wracking presentation where you feel like you've got to stand up there and be really, really formal. And of course, there is a place for that. And, I can do that. I can turn it on like that when I want to be formal. But if you've lost your audience and you don't engage with them and you don't give yourself that 30 seconds to bed in, you'll lose them anyway. They want to know you're a human. Interview panels want to know you're a human. Sales pitch, they want to know you're a human, because if you're a human and they like you, they'll buy from you. And if they don't, they won't. Your product can be as amazing as you like, but if they don't like you, they ain't going to buy from you. Sorry. So plan your presentation. So start your planning process. Do whatever you need to do. If it's PowerPoint, if it's pages, if it's doing something a bit more quirky. So if you're selling a product, you need to incorporate obviously the product. If you're selling a restaurant idea, build the room around your idea. If you're selling a concept, build the concept within your budget. Do something really interesting with your subject matter if you can. Start planning, and planning, like I said, comes later. Start building the bones together, because you've done all your research. Now you can start putting all the meat on the bones. And because you've done your research first, you'll find that throughout the research process, you might start not dreaming. I do sometimes dream about stuff. Stuff does come to me in dreams, but that's a bit weird, isn't it? You'll find that there's this theory in there around like your subconscious. When you allow your subconscious just to do its thing, that's when creativity comes. And through doing the research first, that allows that creative element to come in. So allow that, enjoy that, and it gives you time to kind of think, oh, that's a really good idea, or not sure about that, and test things. Enjoy that process and make it engaging, and think to yourself how many times you've been in a presentation and it's been awful, really awful, because they're reading off a PowerPoint or something. So don't do that. Do something different. Do something fun if you can. It sounds really bad, that, doesn't it? Because I'm just really speaking to you guys, but I'm not good enough on the camera yet to make things really, really interesting, but I'm getting there. Right, that's the end of this section, and I'll see you shortly. Hi guys, welcome back to this section. This is the final section. I just want to say as well, obviously when I'm speaking today, sometimes you might think, well, she's a bit short of breath, and I want to show you the reason why. I am a mature student, and I'm just in the process of, well, you'll see. So I am nearly 36 weeks pregnant at the minute, so do bear with me, just because I do get a little bit short of breath when we're doing these presentations. See what I did there? I was honest with you, give you a little bit of insight into my life. Do something like that in your presentation. Honestly, it'll work. Throw little bones into the audience, talk about your kids, do anything you want to do within professional boundaries, but just throw little bits in, because it just makes the audience just like you a little bit more. Oh my goodness, I'm saying that again, aren't I? And you probably don't like me, so anyway, no, you will. So, last section, everybody hates this, and you're not going to want to hear it. It is, you must practice. I was told to do this from a very young age. I'm a pretty confident person. It comes all right to me, but I can appreciate why people find this really cringy, but you've got to practice. There's no way around it. How do you expect to speak in front of whoever it is, unless you've practiced your presentation. The way to do it is, there's a couple of ways to do it. Camera, like we're doing, in front of a mirror, in front of a family member. If you're in front of a family member and you're really unconfident, get them to stand on the other side of the wall or the other side of the door, just so they can hear you, so that they can hear the content. But you've got to look at yourself in the mirror. I'm really sorry, there's no other way around it, because people have annoying habits. Have you ever watched a presenter and you're like, oh, will you just stop moving your hands? Or will you just stand still on the spot, please? Or will you please stop saying that particular word, like, or they might have like a really weird, something that they do with their mouth, or just something that is really annoying. And unless you watch yourself in a mirror, you've got no idea what that is. What do? I have a tendency to speak very, very fast, and it's taken me a number of years just to slow down, because I speak fast in general, but when I'm presenting, I probably try and speak a lot slower than I would do to my friends, for example, just because that's the feedback that I've been given, that sometimes I can get so enthusiastic and so into my subject that I start to get so quick and just pour information out that people can't necessarily keep up with that. So that's just my thing that I do. But you need to figure out what it is. Everybody will have one. We've all got something annoying. So figure it out. So practice, practice, practice. Get in front of a mirror. Get in front of a family member. Practice to your dog if you want to first. But you have to do it. There's no way around it. And again, I always come back to this thing of, you have to allow things to become part of who you are. And when you practice something, this is my second run through, by the way, and I think we've got it, just to give, just so you know where I'm coming from as well. It gets better, and you'll throw in little things, and you'll remember something from your text that you've been researching, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I should definitely put that in there. Or you'll think, oh, that just doesn't flow right, I need to switch that slide around, and ooh, that needs a good reference, and I need to support that a little bit more, and I don't know what that word means, and they're going to ask me it, and all the little things that could go wrong in your presentation will go wrong in your practice. So hopefully by the time you get there, you'll be absolutely fine. Also, academically, an interview, anything that we're talking about today, you will be given a time limit. It really, really pisses people off when you go over your time limit, particularly in interviews, because you've been given a certain slot, that's it. And if you can't manage your time in a presentation, why on earth should that person give you any more of their time? And purely and academically as well, you need to lose marks. If you haven't practiced and you haven't got to the point where you're within 10 minutes, which is normal for a presentation, why should you get first for that when you clearly haven't practiced it? You've got to be in your time frame, because that's part of being professional. And I don't think there's any excuse for that. So you get it, I'm looking up there because that's my clock. So you get in front of a clock, or you put your timer on, and you practice and you get it right. They won't mind if you go like 2 or 3 minutes over, but 5-10 minutes, they'll start switching off, getting angry, and thinking they need to get out the door, or they're going to lose marks, or whatever it is, you're switching them off, because people can only concentrate for so long as well. So yeah, practice, practice, practice. So that's the end of this section. I'm just going to do a final recap. So if you want to just switch forward totally to the final recap, I will see you shortly. So final recap. So my golden rules of delivering a presentation are: you must know your material inside out. You must get to the point where you're living and breathing it, and you can speak about it for about 10 minutes without notes. Secondly, you must plan your presentation. You must do something interesting, innovative, exciting, engaging, funny if you can, and be honest with your audience, because they'll really, really like that most of the time, within professional boundaries. Thirdly, you must practice. Nobody likes doing it. Everybody hates it, finds it really cringy. No way around it. Sorry, but there isn't. There is something else that I want to say, and it keeps literally going out of my head. That's it. Never, ever use notes. It looks terrible. And when you take your eyes off the audience and you look down to your notes, you lose them. It's psychological. They've gone. They've switched off. They're on the phones. They're Instagramming and telling people how rubbish you are because you've just used notes, and it's embarrassing. So never ever use notes. If you want to use a handout for your audience because you've got some really techie stuff in there and you've got some facts and figures, do that. Never ever use a guidance method. And do you know why? You don't need it now because you'll have practiced, and you'll have practiced 3 or 4 different ways that your presentation can go, any of which is going to be successful. It's going to be absolutely fine. So you don't need them anymore. You don't even need them as a safety net because you've practiced your presentation and it's absolutely flipping awesome. So put your notes away, please, because it's really unprofessional. Everybody hates it, and it shows the audience that that you don't know what you're talking about. And even if you have got facts and figures there, do you know what? Learn them. We've got a brain in there that is there for memory. We can do this. It's just etiquette, isn't it? And I think it's really lazy if you have your notes in front of you. So please don't do it. It's really, really bad. Oh, lastly, please look smart. I'm struggling to look smart at the minute because I'm just the size of a house. However, if you are presenting, you feel good, you will look good, you will come across confident, and the audience will respect you. So I am 5'2". I am a little lady, and I'm usually little tiny lady. And I always, if I'm presenting, will put quite big heels on, and I will power dress for the occasion because I want to present a certain image, and it makes me feel good, and it also makes the audience confident in me as well because I'm putting on that professional persona. Fellas, wear a shirt, put a tie on, and iron it, or get your missus to iron it if that's the case. But please do that. Stick a jacket on with your best antiperspirant if you're quite hot, because some of you fellas struggle to wear jackets. But look smart, clean your shoes, have your hair cut, tidy the beard up, don't have any stray hairs anywhere, look the part. And again, it's all about image, it's all about presentation. If you if the audience respects you and likes the way you look and they like you as a person, they'll engage with you and you'll listen, they'll give you really good feedback, or whatever it is in terms of interviews. So please look smart. It's a little bit of a must. Any last things that I can think of? I reckon if you do all that, you're onto a winner. It's only 3 things that you've got to do. You'll be absolutely loving presentations. You'll be nailing them. You'll be getting a first. You'll be nailing that interview. And see how easy it is just to, I've knocked this out in a couple of hours. It's a presentation. This is a really long one as well. It's not taking me very long. Granted, there's no references in there because I don't need to, thank goodness. But it's easy to do, but it's easy to get wrong. And just to finally say, I failed to follow my 3 steps once very early on in my career. Did I do it again? No, I didn't. It was the most embarrassing, most cringy moment of my entire life, and it haunts me now, and I can still see the audience's face, and it was just awful. But I didn't follow the steps. I didn't have the steps at that point because I was so early in my career. You'll never do it again. And that's probably why some of you guys are so scared of presentations, because you might have had a really bad experience and not really know how to overcome that. I guarantee if you do all that, you'll be absolutely fine. So enjoy your next presentation. It'll be really good to hear from you guys about how you've done. And any feedback would be fantastic. And please subscribe to My Mature Student Life, where I vlog about loads of stuff. All right, see you later.